Welcome to this free lecture. This lecture is taken from my ZBrush full anatomy and character creation course. Details of this course can be found now. If you like what I'm doing here, visit the page, check it out, see if you like it, and take the course. Okay guys, I want to share with you common mistakes for ZBrush anatomy and character creation course. Okay, so mistake number one is what I call flat face, and this is where you've modeled something and you've not really looked at the roundness of the face. So you can see on this one here, it's actually not too bad, but I've given it a flat face type look. You can see that it's just missing that roundness, and some people even go to the same extent to actually look at the eyes and they actually have the eyes flat as well. There's actually no roundness in the eyes. At least I've got roundness here in the mouth part. Some people have that really flat. Now it can easily happen because when you're actually working on a mesh, if you're just looking on one view, and certainly if you've got perspective turned off, you're not actually seeing how much of a push you're getting. So like with this figure here, where it's just a basic base mesh, if I was to push the nose in or even pull it out, you're not really going to see a lot of the changes from a frontward view because of you facing that way. So if I make this really kind of flat like this and then we put it this way, you're not going to see that it's got a really flat face. So what I say is always check the face as you're working. So make sure that you're zooming around the face and looking that it's not flat, so you can put the roundness back in, because like I said, if you've got it facing you, straight facing you, you might not see that until you turn it. So you need to make sure that you're turning these angles and getting these angles back so it's looking more like a female, especially like in the mouth area. So you're viewing it and you're looking at it from all sides. This is really important aspect of doing any kind of this work. So make sure that you are doing that so that you can get everything into the proper proportions there. As I said, if you flat faced it, if I was to take her and push her flat like that, you might not see the changes from that side, but from that side it looks really flat. I've seen cases where people have got the mouth, it's all like this. Even the eyes people have done and they're really kind of flat like that. So when they turn it, you get this real flat face look, and that, to be honest, goes with all of the body parts. You know, as you're going around, make sure that nothing is kind of like pushed in too far. Make sure you've got nice roundness going on as you're working across the model. It's really important. So that's flat face, which is pretty bad. The other one is proper proportions for the body parts. So I got this body here, let me just take her back to her beginning bit. So the other one is the proportions of body parts. Now there's mathematical proportions between certain parts, but I see a lot of people doing things like putting the eyes too close together, you know, having the nose too high on the mouth and having a bigger chin. You know, these are proportionate parts, and the eyes run into the middle. So I often see some people and they've got the head right down there. You know, the eyes are running here, across here, the middle, go through the middle of the head, yeah, and the next line. So we're breaking the head in three. We've got the top of the head to the middle of the eyes, middle of the eyes down to about the nose area, and then about the chin, and then the mouth is split between the last three parts. You can Google that and find proportions, but I see this all the time. It's all right if you're going for a stylized look, but I often see another one that I see a lot of is things like the arms, where people have taken the arms and they've got them too long and they're like that, and they're looking at it but it's just too long. The other one is the hands, and sometimes the body position. You know, they'll have it up there or they'll have it too far down. I know I'm going extreme here, but this is definitely something to watch. You know, you wouldn't get that kind of shape, it's just too far out. All right, so these are definitely things to look out for. Proportions. Right, the other one I've seen is bulging muscles. You know, people are creating these stylized images, and they're going and they're kind of taking these muscles and they're inflating them like this. You know, they're doing massive, great muscles like this, and you know, you don't get that. It's not you. But so my thing to you is definitely check images online. You know, some people have got really big muscles, but some people just do them well over the top, and it looks really, really odd, especially with the back. People are tending at the moment to do all these kind of all this stuff where you've got the trapezium, the scapula, and they've got all this muscle mass going down here, and it just looks, and you do get that on some models, but it's kind of on some people, but it's very extreme. Also, something to bear in mind, this is a really big one, is muscles are relaxed if you're in a relaxed pose. If you're obviously lifting something heavy, they're going to be inflated with blood, and then they're going to be like this. In a natural state, they will be much softer, much more relaxed. So pay attention. My advice for this is pay attention and make sure that you're looking at images in a kind of same pose as you're trying to do. Okay, don't take someone's arm if he's lifting a heavy weight and you're doing him in a relaxed pose, because that's not correct. Because if his arm was relaxed, the muscles would swell down, de-inflate, and then you would get a completely different result. So definitely something to bear in mind is that bulging out of place muscles. This is a common with everyone creating superhero characters. Bad muscle placement, size is very common. Okay, so muscle placement as well. I see lots of artists going in and just sort of building muscles anywhere, even when they're not muscles. So they'll come into areas like this and they'll stick a muscle in here. You know, there's no muscle in there, but they stick it in there, or they go, oh yeah, I'll give him some more abs at the side. You know, then suddenly it doesn't become realistic. So you need to just really pay attention to those. Pay attention to the small details as well, like the ligaments across here and those sort of areas. Definitely big ones to watch out for when you're doing any kind of anatomy sculpting, for sure. Okay, so that's bulging muscles. Mistake number 4 is detailing too soon. I see people have a character and they haven't refined it, and they've got it to this stage, and they start whacking in extra resolution, and then they start going, okay, I'm going to grab some detailing now. So they'll go in and they'll grab like this skin brushes, and they'll use like generic skin, and they'll start going, yeah, let's put skin in here, let's put it all over here. Right, it's not going to improve this model by putting detail on it if it doesn't look correct before you've done this. Yeah, if it looks wrong when you've done it, then don't move on. So I can put this on here now because he's all correct, but I wouldn't put it on if it was out. If something was out, I would still work with the lower resolutions and build that up into it. Okay, so this is a really big one, detailing too soon. People seem to think they do a fairly, they think it's a fairly good model and accurate. They haven't double checked it. They haven't kind of left it and come back to it. And then they've gone, right, okay, well, I'm going to proceed straight on. It's okay. So I'm going to get the skin data, just urgent to get the skin details, get the pores in there, to put hair on it, to put clothes on it. They haven't worked on the basic shapes and made sure they're all correct. And this is a really, really big mistake that people make. All right, so detailing too soon. Right, so the next one is jumping to higher resolution too soon. Now you should push, I've got this on subdivision levels, but if I had it on Dynamesh, let's put this into Dynamesh. I'll come down here and I'll put it on about, I normally start with about 64 on a mesh. So what I'll do is I'll have 64 and I'll Dynamesh it like this, and I'll start to build the detail. Because this has got stuff on here, I'm going to build it a bit higher. Let's just do it at about 396, something like that. So what I do is I basically push the resolution of this and I move things around until I want to move on. So I'll then use things like clay tubes to build stuff up. Now if you're taking my anatomy course, this will all be clear, so I'm not going over, but I would go over these areas and I would start to build stuff into it, even around the face and all this area. And then I would start to, and I would polish that, smooth that back. And then when I run out of resolution, because I'm getting in really tight and I want to put really thin lines on there, because I've done it all, pretend I've done it all, and I start to do things like the belly button, and I start to not get enough detail, then, only then, do I raise my resolution by about 200 at a time and re-dynamesh it, because then I can build the more detail into that before moving forwards. So adding detail too soon to a model is another big thing that happens. Yeah. Also making sure you understand the brushes and things like that. In my course we set up some custom brushes for things like smooth sculpting. So this is a smooth brush, but it's been dialed back so that it doesn't destroy the detail. Yeah. So knowing your brushes and those sort of things are really important as well, which I kind of cover in my course. So that is another big one, is mistake number 5, which is jumping to too high a resolution. Yeah, this is a massive mistake for people. Move into the higher resolutions far too early. I'm guilty of it myself in some cases, but you need to push the character as far as you can before moving to a higher resolution. Low resolutions mean more speed, more control, and easier to smooth. So like I've got it in a low resolution. If I mask this and I want to soften it, I can press the control and click, and I can soften that mask really easily. I can also harden the mask by pressing the Alt key, and it will do it so much quicker. Now if I was to put this on a much higher resolution, let's yank this up to 1600 and then just re-dynamesh it. Right, this is going to do two things. It's going to mean it's much harder for me to actually smooth anything out. I'm trying to smooth and it's not really doing a lot. Yeah, so you can't really smoothing. And also if I start to mask an area, if I'm trying to soften it, I'm clicking on it, but it's taking much longer to soften. Yeah, and it's because I'm on a higher resolution. Now if I set this back to a lower resolution on the Dynamesh and I re-Dynamesh this like this, now with the smooth brush I can smooth it really quickly. I can also soften the mask really quickly. So again, for speed, also for moving stuff around as well, you're going to be a lot better to be able to move stuff around at the lower resolutions than the higher resolutions. So hopefully these common mistakes, ZBrush anatomy and character creation course has helped you. Check out my course, it's absolutely huge, and for you guys that want to progress to the next level and create great sculpts, it's right up your street. It takes you from beginner. Even advanced users or intermediate users can take this course, although I haven't brought out the advanced sections yet, so you might want to wait until you buy the course until I have more of the advanced sections. But for beginner sections I'm well underway with it, and I'll be working on this course through the whole of 2020. So I hope you enjoyed this quick blog, and hopefully I'll see you in the course.